Okay, so next we will import the DWG file from Revit to Rhino, and then adjust a few things, and then export it to the design heritage side. So I have DWG files here, and I will just take one of them, this guy. Okay, so you will get a menu like this, a panel like this, with lots of parameters that you can change. And again, in this PDF document, there are explicit instructions about the most important parameters. And if you, for those parameters, if you don't set them right, it may not actually result in the properly imported model in design heritage in the end. So my suggestion is when you are doing importing and exporting, and then encountering the menu for selecting parameters, you would take a look at this document. So here, one important parameter is this one. This will make things easier for you to modify the color in Revit, in Rhino, before you go into the design heritage platform. Everything else, I think pretty much you can keep the default. So now you have something like this. If you have another model, you can import at the same time and then modify them at the same time. For this video, I will just show you one by one. So the first thing you want to try is to make sure that you have only the kind of data you want to use, and nothing else. And what I mean is, you will see, for instance, this lines, which is showing the scope box or section box from Revit. And there are other lines which was used for constructing the model in Revit. And those lines will have some problem later down the line. Basically, after this, you only want to have the 3D mesh object, nothing else. So you can keep them for reference by hiding them, but I would just delete them. And the easiest way to do that is to use a section filter. So you can just type section filter here. I'm sorry, selection filter. And then you can select the ones you want and deselect the ones you don't want. So the one I want to keep is the meshes. So I will deselect it actually, and then select everything. So what's selected is everything except the mesh, which is probably some lines and some maybe other kind of annotation objects. You can hide them, but I will just delete it. So what's left here is the 3D mesh object, which I need. So that's one thing you need to do. And the second thing is, if you look at the color, let's shade it. Or render it. So this is the color which was inherited from probably like a layer color or material color in Revit. And you probably don't want to have a green wall and bright saturated purple ground for your AR or VR representation. So it's a good idea to adjust it now, because it's very handy in here in Rhino to do that. What you need to adjust is the material color here. So for instance, this purple patio floor derived from an object A floor, probably in Revit. And if you want to change it, you change the color here of the material. So let's see, I want to use maybe like this kind of color, brown color. Then maybe if I want to change the color of the wall to be maybe a little, I don't know, maybe very, very slightly saturated. So you can just set up all the colors this way. And one thing is, if you see it in shaded mode, it looks differently, because in shaded mode, it uses the color of the not the material, the color of the object, color assigned to the object for showing the objects while you're modeling. And what will be used in the end in our pipeline is the color of the material. So if you want to see it in here, you can use the rendered view. I want to, for instance, maybe change the material also for, let's say, the roof. And then the color of the roof will be here. Okay, so after the color, let's check. Okay, so this one tells you how to change the color. And also, it also tell you how to eliminate those lines using the selection filter. Okay, one more thing is it's a good idea to check the size of the model. So this model, if I look at in plan, at the lower bottom of the Rhino window, you see the coordinates. So X is from about -40 to +40. And Y is around -38 to 0 for this model, right? So so it's about 80 units for the width, and about 38 units for top and bottom. The reason you want to check it is that in the end, in the design heritage platform, the platform is adjusted so that by default, if the model is within about 100 by 100 by 100 box, adjustment you need to make will be minimum. If it's much larger or much smaller, you would need to do a lot of adjustment. So the rule of the thumb is to make your model to fit in that box of 100 by 100 by 100 units. And because I'm using metric when I exported the model from Revit for this small house, it actually came out to be a good size because it is about 80 meters for the width here, and the other half of the model, if I add it, it'll be like 80 meter by 6 meter by the height is very small, maybe 50 meter, 20 meter, including the base. So this happens to be a good size. If your model is not a convenient size with this regard, you can also scale it in here in a regular way, you know, by just using a 3D scale command. And then the other thing is you want the file, the models to be near the origin. So you don't want to have a situation where the model is like really far away like this. If the Revit makes exported model like that, you want to move it closer to the origin like this. Then we are going to export this in OBJ format this time to import it into Design Heritage platform. So you choose OBJ, and again, you would need to be mindful about the options. And there are 4 tabs in here. And depending on the Rhino versions, it might look a little different. But again, there will be a very detailed description of what you need to be mindful about at this stage. If you look at this PDF document. So just quickly, in Geometry tab, make sure to use a polygon mesh, not the NURBS object, because NURB is a curve object, parametric curve object, and the Design Heritage platform has difficulty dealing with it. Formatting, one important one is this one, map Rhino Z to OBJY. So some CAD software uses Z up coordinate system, some uses Y up coordinate system. For that reason, make sure to click this one, check this on. Export material definitions, I think it's default on, you will keep it on. And then use display color for objects with no material set. This is default on, you keep it on. Naming sections, I think you probably don't need to change anything, but you can double check against the PDF document. Mesh section, you want to check N-gons using none, or in other versions of Rhino, it may say N-gons enabled or disabled, and then you disable it because N-gons format will have problem with the WebGL platform that we're using in Design Heritage. Other things, probably you can keep it by default. But again, I recommend you to check this section in the PDF document. Okay, then you can just select, specify some name and you export. One more thing is when you edit the shape in here, you may do many things. And one of the things you may do is like there are objects here like roof and floors, and then you import multiple DWG file from Revit and try to operate them at once. You may want to actually group them, right? So you can actually choose everything in one chart, and that's no problem. But when you export, you want to ungroup them if you have grouped them, because grouped object will have a problem in Design Heritage platform. So make sure if you have grouped them, ungroup them before you export.